Tupelo Honey Miracle Series, Season 2, Episode 8. The Most Unusual Venue. Welcome back to the Honeycomb Hideout. I'm Habaka KFJ, best-selling author, BJ&G classic vocalist, radio host, and storyteller. You're in a place where music, stories, books, community, and local adventures come together. Go and grab your favorite beverage and sit back and relax. Find the room that's right for you. For the month of August, I'll be doing a series entitled Tupelo Honey Miracles, and we have come to the end of August, and we all have those Tupelo Honey Miracles, and I wanted to share a few of mine. My promoter called me one day about doing a concert in a city in Italy. Now, at the time I confirmed the booking, I had absolutely no questions about this concert. I knew from the beginning that it was going to be a gospel concert. Just like all of the other gospel concerts I had been booked to do with this particular promoter, or so I thought. The day of the concert arrived, and my piano player and I headed to the venue. As we drove through these huge gates, I started looking around. And honeybees, it was absolutely stunning. It looked like this enormous, beautiful park. There were these incredible statues everywhere. Huge statues, many of them angels. And each one seemed different from the next. You really had to see it with your own eyes. I mean, really, it was just breathtaking. It was a beautiful Sunday afternoon. The sun was shining brightly, the sky was blue, the birds were chirping. You know the scene. And I'm sitting there thinking, what a beautiful day for a concert. I was happy. We continued driving down this long entryway until eventually we saw a little church. Yes. It was a very small church. It was quaint. And I had performed in small churches before, so I didn't think anything of it. We pulled up in front. My piano player got out of the car and started pulling out his piano to take it inside. And then a gentleman came out and said, "Oh, no, the concert isn't inside." And he pointed. "It's going to be over there." We looked over, and there were rows and rows and rows of chairs already set up outside. There was a stage area that we had noticed when we first drove in. Okay. Now, I'm still not thinking anything unusual, okay, honeybees? I'm thinking, well, I wonder why they aren't doing it inside the church. It was summertime, it was hot. It wasn't scorching hot like Las Vegas, but it was warm. And I'm thinking, it's always cooler inside the church. But then again, it was such a beautiful day, so why not? My piano player starts setting everything up. Meanwhile, I'm still looking around at these incredible statues. Okay? Yes. And so I was like, what is this place? It's absolutely beautiful. My piano player looked at me and said, Habakkuk, this is the cemetery. Honeybees, did you hear what I said? The cemetery. My mouth flew open. You've got to be kidding me, I said. There is no way I can do a concert in a cemetery. I was serious, okay? And I'm looking at him, and he's lost in his mind. Who in the world wants to hear us playing gospel music in a cemetery while they're coming here grieving over someone they've lost? This is what I'm asking. This is what I'm thinking. My piano player, he's laughing at me. Then suddenly it dawned on me. My promoter never told me this concert was in a cemetery. Honeybees, welcome to Habakkuk's Honeycomb Hideout. Make sure you share it with your friends and make sure you give me a 5-star review. And you can also subscribe as well if you'd like to subscribe. And if you're listening to this episode on Spotify or on Apple Music, you can do that. So back to the story. My promoter never told me that this concert was in a cemetery. Not one word. And immediately I knew why. Because he knew that Habakkuk would have given him a big, resounding no. My piano player is still laughing, okay? And he says, well, it's too late now. We're here. You accepted the booking. They've set everything up. We can't just leave. So, of course, I immediately called my promoter. And what do you think happened? Right. He didn't answer the phone. Oh, he knew. He knew it was me. I'm pretty sure he knew exactly what time I would be arriving at that venue, and he probably knew exactly why Habakkuk was calling him. Now, honeybees, you have to understand something, okay? I was an American living in a foreign country, and cultures can be very different. From the culture perspective, I had grown up with in America. I had never heard of someone giving an entire concert in a cemetery. Of course, I had heard someone sing a short song during a burial or a memorial service, but a concert in a cemetery, in my mind, that felt disrespectful. And I was worried that the people visiting their loved ones would think I was being disrespectful too. But I was a professional. I had accepted the engagement. The stage was set. The chairs were there. We were there. So I had a gospel concert to do. And before we started, while I was still in my little rebellious state, I finally thought, well, I'm already here. At least the spirits and I are going to have a good time. And that was my attitude. So my piano player started playing, and I started singing. At first, there was hardly anybody there. But as I sang, I started noticing people coming over. Little by little, someone would come and sit down. Then somebody else. Then another person and another. And before I knew it, every one of those chairs was full. People were listening. They were smiling. They were clapping with me. There were tears in some of the songs that I sang. There was joy. And eventually, people were standing up, singing and dancing in the cemetery. And honeybees, something happened to me during that concert too. My whole perspective changed. What I had imagined would be disrespectful had become something completely different. I never thought of it like that again. For me, gospel music isn't simply a performance. It's spiritual. And that day, in a place where people were carrying grief, that music brought some joy. By the time we finished, I felt completely different than I had when me and my piano player first arrived. And when he said to me, Habakkuk, this is a cemetery. But the confirmation came afterward. People started coming up to me. They thanked me. They told me that the music had made their day a little lighter, that I had lifted their hearts, that even if only for a little while, their grief didn't feel quite as heavy. And that touched me because I learned something that day. God showed me sometimes wisdom isn't discovering that what you believed was wrong. Sometimes wisdom is discovering that what you believed wasn't the only way to see something. And you know what I'm learning? It's like that with all things in life. I had arrived with one cultural understanding. That afternoon in Italy gave me another. And it gave me another perspective on how I think about life in general now. And I left grateful that my promoter had booked that concert. Now, he still hadn't answered his telephone, okay? And I knew exactly what he had done. He knew if he told me beforehand that the concert was in a cemetery, I probably would have said no. And you know what? He was probably right. But by the end of that day, I wasn't planning to yell at him anymore. Oh, we were definitely going to have a conversation though, okay? But now, it was going to be a funny one because he had gotten me there. I had experienced something I never would have chosen for myself. And it turned out to be one of the most beautiful and unusual concert experiences of my life. So the concert ended, we packed everything up, and we went and had dinner. And eventually, my piano player and I started heading out of the city. And you would think that's where this story ends. Honeybees. We were already halfway out of the city when suddenly I realized, now, what are you thinking? Because you know, with me, it's always something. My suitcase. I had left my suitcase back at that church in the cemetery. Oh my God. And by this time, it was almost midnight. So now my piano player and I have to turn around and go back to the cemetery at midnight. Yeah. After making a few phone calls, we were told, go back. Someone is there. We'll contact him and have him open the gate. I'm like, excuse me? Someone is there. Yeah, at midnight, that's when I discovered there was a gatekeeper who stayed on the premises. Can you imagine that? Honeybees. A man slept at the cemetery. And there went American Habakkuk receiving wisdom lesson number 2. Excuse me, somebody lives here? So we drove all the way back, and let me tell you something. That beautiful cemetery that had looked like this magnificent park underneath the bright blue sky that afternoon, all of a sudden, it looked a little different at midnight, okay? It was pitch dark. You couldn't see nothing. We pulled up outside the cemetery, those cemetery gates, and sat there in the car. And I'm looking around and turning my head and turning around and waiting, and my heart is pounding. Then suddenly, out of the darkness, here comes somebody. The gatekeeper appeared, opened the gate, and handed my piano player my suitcase. And I'm sitting there thinking, I cannot believe I left my suitcase in a cemetery. But let me tell you, at that moment, I was very grateful for that gatekeeper, okay? Because otherwise, we would have had to make another trip all the way back the following day. And that would have been a complete disaster. That's a Tupelo honey miracle. So honeybees, that's my final Tupelo honey miracle for the month of August. And when I look back at that day, I realized something. I've spent this month telling you stories about moments when I received a little Tupelo honey. Moments when somebody appeared, something happened, a door opened, or I was protected at exactly the right time. But that cemetery taught me something else. Those people came to me afterward and told me that my music had made their hearts a little lighter. And maybe that day, I was somebody else's Tupelo honey miracle. Sometimes you're the one receiving the Tupelo honey. And sometimes you're the one carrying the jar. And if you're willing to remain open, sometimes while you're carrying a little honey for somebody else, they'll leave you with a little wisdom in return. So honeybees, whether you've been with me from the beginning or just now discovering me on this part of the world or wherever you are listening from, welcome to Habakkuk's Honeycomb Hideout. And I'm so glad that I had this time to spend with you. And I am so glad that you're here. And I'm so glad that you're a honeybee. If any of these episodes has helped you or encouraged you in any way, share it with a friend. And by all means, subscribe. If you're listening from Spotify or from Apple Music, you can also leave a review and give me 5 stars. No pressure, but it would be nice. And anyway, you know what? I'm just grateful that you're here. So, we've finished this Tupelo Honey Miracle series for now, for the month of August. And so, until the next miracle, honeybees, stay sweet. God bless you, and I love you. Bye-bye.